this morning?
Well, I think he was very relaxed.
Yeah.
We had a great chat about his gliding. He loves gliding, and I love ballooning and other sports. But and I think my advice to him simply was just have a blast, have fun, enjoy. It's going to be the biggest day of his life tomorrow. But just go out and enjoy it.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
For him to know that tomorrow is going to be one of the greatest days of his life, and it's all, the destiny in many ways is in his hands. When you watch that show reel that we played, the introductory reel, do you get tired or do you get inspired?
No, I think I get inspired. I mean, obviously, I've been very lucky, very fortunate because a lot's gone on in my life, and a lot's still going on, and life's fascinating. I'm learning all the time. Every single day is a new challenge. I don't want to waste this fantastic position I find myself in. So we have fantastic people at Virgin. Something like 60,000 people. They're committed to what they're doing, and it's up to me to get out and around the world to inspire them and motivate them, and I'm happy to do that.
Over so many years now, even decades, you've been able to capture lightning and put it in a bottle in so many different areas of life. A lot of people here today look at the economy, not quite sure what's going on. You've been through the cycles many times. We've seen a lot of protests in the streets of the world. We saw them in Melbourne yesterday. Just looking at that video before, you see the Sex Pistols, who were the personification of 70s outrage in Britain. You were amongst all those people, yet you're able to lift and motivate so many other people to the point where you are Sir Richard Branson these days. When you see these people protesting, do you understand, even if they don't sometimes understand what they're protesting about, and what's your view?
Well, I mean, as a teenager, I left school young to campaign against the Vietnamese War, which was another, I'm afraid, unnecessary war waged by the West against innocent people, basically. And would march on the American embassy. And I mean, as far as this particular movement's concerned, I think they have something in what they're saying. And I think it's up to people who run businesses around the world. We should listen, and I think we should actually get out and take the reason for their demonstrations away. So, I mean, businesses should be a force for good. Businesses shouldn't just be the bottom line. And if every single business could get out there and commit to make a real difference, we could get on top of most of the world's problems. Most of the world's problems could get resolved.
So Richard, I want to get to the philanthropy and the new visions a little bit later in our conversation. And by the way, at some stage during the course of this next hour, I'll come down into the audience and take questions from the audience to Sir Richard Branson, so you can have a one-on-one dialogue with Sir Richard. Let's go back. We've all read the book, we all know the show, we all know the story. Today's a bit of an opportunity for us to just go a little bit further than what we see maybe on TV. When you were that young man leaving school, when you started off the magazine, when you decided to get into music, all those things, the great adventure at the time, there was an unbelievable drive behind you to get there. What was your thoughts, and has it changed over the years? Is brand Virgin still what it was when it germinated in your mind?
Well, first of all, I was never interested in being a business person. I was never interested in being an entrepreneur. What I wanted to do was create something that I could be proud of. And the first venture I did was a magazine. I wanted to create something that should make a difference in the world. I wanted to be an editor. And the actual business aspect was making sure that at the end of the year more money came in from the advertising than went out. So but the actual business aspect was not that important. And I think throughout my life I've seen situations where I feel I can do it better. I've got frustrated flying on other people's airlines. Thought, let's see if we can create the kind of airline that we'd like to fly on. And that's applied to lots of different things. And I actually think for the people in the audience who want to start business, they shouldn't be thinking, how can I make a lot of money out of, what business can I get into to make a lot of money? They need to think, what is their passion? Where out there is somebody else not doing it well? How could I actually get in and do it better than they're doing it? And how can I make a real difference to other people's lives? And if you can do that, then you have a chance of actually creating a successful, you can actually make some money out of it as well, which is the byproduct. But you only live once. You might as well do something that fascinates you, intrigues you, interests you, and that's the key, I think.
In two answers, you've basically built an economic rationalist, and a lot of the investors in the world who are there to turn companies over in 5 years and screw some money out and damn the cost along the way, personally and to brands, which we've seen a lot in this country. We've seen a lot of companies come in and do exactly that with brands that mean a lot to this country and have been savaged in between. So a lot of people out here who might be either starting business or wanting to start business or reinvigorate their life or their own business, is it pretty much live with your heart and rule with your brain? Is that what you're saying to us? Is it?
Yeah, I personally believe lead with your heart. I wouldn't get the accountants in to tell you whether the figures are going to stack up. I mean, because you can get one set of accountants who will tell you that they will stack up, another set will tell you they won't stack up. I mean, the only way to prove something is just get out, and give it a try. And if you fall flat in your face, pick yourself up again and try again until you finally succeed. Obviously, the key thing is, what is a business? A business is a group of people, and that is really all the business is. So, if you're a good leader, if you can motivate people, if you can, get the best out of people, if you can praise people, don't criticize people. If you can inspire people, then you've got a good chance of being successful. And it's important that you treat the switchboard operator or the cleaning lady, as importantly as you do your fellow directors. It's just treat everybody well.
So Richard, rereading the books and
somebody pointed out to me there aren't switchboards anymore, so sorry about that. Good out of date.
Be nice to those Indian people who bring you up at dinner time. Is that what you're saying?
From the call centres. He doesn't speak English. I can't understand anything he's saying.
So you need to be nice to the call centres who ring you while you're trying to have dinner these days. So Richard, just in rereading your books in recent times, there was one thing that really jumped off the page was the way that you have ensured your business empire by keeping it small and having people working very hard so that there is no domino effect. There's no day that you wake up and suddenly, out of nowhere, one small part or a major part of your empire knocks the whole thing over. Where did that come from, and how have you been able to maintain that when the overwhelming approach to business over the years has been bigger and bigger and bigger?
Well, I do think that small is beautiful. I mean, my wife might not agree, but anyway, thank you. So, to give examples, when we were building our record companies, if we ended up having 100 people working in a building, I would go along to the building and say, ask to see the deputy managing director, the deputy sales manager, the deputy managing director, and say, you are now, the managing director, the sales manager, the managing director of a new company. And we'd split the company in two and we'd put them in a different building. So we ended up with 20 different record companies and 20 different buildings. People knew each other. They could, when they had successes, they knew they could take credit for them. They knew each other's personal names. They had bailiffs. They knew it was down to them, and they didn't get lost in a big building. Equally, we had each of our companies as standalone companies. They had to stand on their own 2 feet. So, if there is a rogue trader in one of our companies, it's not going to bring the rest of the group crashing down. So, for our reputation's sake, we have actually never let a company go. But if there was some absolutely exceptional situation, we're in a situation we can. And I think too many company chairmen make the mistake of thinking, I want to be sitting on top of all these billions, all under one umbrella, with all these minions under me. And anyway, I don't think it's a good idea.
We've probably got 6,000 people here tonight. You've got 60,000 employees around the world. Every one of them would have a good idea that they'd want to give to you. How do you distill the good ideas? How do you get enough mind time to yourself to continue to build this brand and these businesses that you have?
Well, I think one of the most important things when you're starting a business is very quickly to learn the art of delegation. So, sit back from the business and spend some time trying to find people who are better than you to run that business on a day-to-day basis, and that will then free you up to think about to be entrepreneurial, to push to go out and create something in another area, or to be able to jump in and help the previous organisation you set up. And then once you have delegated, it's extremely important you're not trying to second guess the people all the time, and give them the freedom to make mistakes, give them the freedom to make good things, but accept they're not going to do everything exactly as you would do it. Some things they'll do better than you'll do it, and in that way, Virgin's grown into 200 or 300 companies, and I can firefight. I can jump in when we have an issue. I can help the companies, help put the brand on the map. I can think about the bigger picture, and I can also dream. And I have some big dreams and try to make those dreams become reality.
When you were sitting in your office in those early days when the record company started, and at some stage in front of you was Mike Oldfield and Tubular Bells, which is such a great concept album and really sparked things for you. And then at some stage you would have had Sid Vicious sitting in the same office with you, and the Sex Pistols. I mean, it's just a crazy thing to have in that office and having to pull it all together.
Yeah, I mean, I was, although I delegated, I actually enjoyed the record company, so I spent a lot of time there. And the Sex Pistols were a lot of fun. I mean, one of the first things that happened, we ended up the police arresting me for mentioning the word bollocks on the Sex Pistols sleeve. Never mind the bollocks, here's the Sex Pistols. And so we found a Queen's counsellor, John Waterman, who's a playwright, and he said, look, you need to ring up a linguistics expert at the local university and see if he can give you any other meaning for the word bollocks than balls. And so I rang up Boston University, asked to talk to the Department of Linguistics. The professor answered the phone, and I explained that I was being prosecuted for the word bollocks. And he said, what a load of balls. He said, bollocks it's nothing to do with balls. He said it was a nickname given to priests in the 18th century. And what the album should really mean is, never mind the priests, here's the Sex Pistols. So I asked him...
Judas Priest sued the next day, of course. They were filthy.
I asked him if he'd come along to the court, and he said he would, and then he paused and said, I happen to be a priest myself, would you like me to wear my dog collar? So, anyway, that was one of our luckier breaks.
Speaking of lucky breaks in the music industry, when you sold Virgin Music to EMI for some 500 million to help finance the airline industry. Do you look back on that now, which was a sad day and a sad time for you, but you might have dodged a bullet, that iTunes was on the way, and sometimes you just need a bit of luck, and in changing your direction, maybe it was intuitive, maybe it just was a bit of luck, but it happened?
No, I'd love to take credit for it, because, at the time, all the press said, how could you sell the most successful record company in the world to put money into the airline business, which, everybody thought was completely mad. We just signed the Rolling Stones, we just signed Janet Jackson, we were on a real high at the time. British Airways was trying to put our airline out of business, so I needed $1 billion check to be able to say to them, lay off, basically. By selling it, we protected the jobs of the record company, we protected the jobs of the airline. But of course, Steve Jobs was busily working away, creating the real rival to the record industry, and the writing was on the wall. So we got lucky there, and it turned out to be the right decision.
You moved into the airline industry. We famously know all the battles you had with British Airways and the like, but to move across at that stage, the continued evolution of the brand of Virgin, at some stage there must have been so many people saying, hey, stay in music, you're doing well, don't jump into something you don't know, airlines are a disaster, they're so hard to run, you're going to take on the British establishment, blah, blah, blah. But you've done that and done it again and done it again and done it again. What is it that drives you to keep evolving this brand that Virgin has become?
Well, the conventional wisdom or conventional wisdom used to be anyway in business schools, stick with your onions, concentrate on what you know and don't stray. And in fact, if you look at most of the top 20 brands in the world, Coca-Cola, soft drinks, Nike shoes, Microsoft computers, they have stuck with one area.